Hello guys! Today I'm gonna be stitching with you two more leaves for this pattern. Look at my progress. I was stitching the border on the weekend and I would like to start my video with and talk about a little bit about the border because you guys might want to stitch it too. So I will tell you how I did it. So I was using two variated colors. This is Cosmos Seasons embroidery threads. They are the best and the most quality embroidery threads I was stitching with. So I started with this color and I was stitching the leaves, and this kind of embroidery threads, they change the colors very slowly. So they start from the light green, they move to the darker green, and they also change to this juicy brighter green, and so on. And when I was stitching with those embroidery threads, I was skipping some leaves, like here, like 1-2 leaves on the branch I was skipping. So later I was stitching them with this embroidery threads. So this is the number, and this is a number for the previous skein. And this embroidery threads, they change colors very quickly. So they go like this long, like yellow, then they go to the green, and they change to the light yellow, and so on. So you can see how many colors they can show. And it really gives me like interesting effect, like the autumn is just starting and we start seeing some yellow orange leaves together with the green leaves, just like I see in the nature right now in September. So I was inspired by this season and I did the border like this. And after I filled all the leaves, I added some central vein using only one thread from this skein. And I was stitching the stem using stem stitch, and I was also using only one strand of floss for this from this color. So this is how I was stitching the border. And for the leaves I used the leaf stitch, and sometimes I used fishbone stitch, this version. So you can use a combination of this or this type of the stitch and stitch all those tiny leaves. And in today's tutorial I will show you how to stitch satin stitch and how to add outline, where you need to add the outline for this kind of stitch to create a sharp edges for your leaves or petals or any kind of floral element you want to create. And if you can't create a sharp edge without outlining like this, but for example for leaves, they like supposed to look like this, the edges are not too sharp like you can see in the nature. But as for the flower petals, it's really useful to have this kind of border. I can show you the example of the embroidery which I use these techniques. Like for example, I used outline for this embroidery design. This helped me to create a sharp edges for each of the petals. I used it together with the long and short shading technique. And this is how it looks like. And the same you can do for satin stitch. For this sleeve, I'm gonna use those colors. I have a strategy for this, so I'm going to stitch one side of the leaf using the lighter shades of the floss. This and this one, I will use a combination of those colors, and for another side of the leaf I will use a combination of those colors, and I will show you how. But first we need to do the outline. So I will use this color of the thread for outlining of this side of the leaf, and for another side of the leaf I will use a darker color. So basically you should use the color that you will use for filling of the leaf, so it will not show up when you will be looking at the finished leaf. So I zoomed in so you can see all the details that I'm gonna be doing right now. So I'm threading my needle. Right now I use the medium size of the needle, and I'm gonna use only 3 strands of floss, and I separate them one by one like this, and now I will join them together and I will thread my needle. I will use the same amount of threads for outlining, and then I will continue with the same thread for filling all this area. I'm gonna stitch this leaf from this point because later I want to move to the top. So I will be stitching from here and moving to the top, and then I will start filling this leaf using the same thread, and I will be moving down. And yeah, first of all, you also need to mark the stitches direction, so your leaf will look like a natural leaf. For this side, you can turn this like a more horizontal way because the leaf is curved a little bit, so you can stitch in this direction. Avoid stitching like this in this direction, it's not gonna look great. Let's start. So for outline I like to use split stitch because this kind of stitch, it gives me the most sharp edge, it creates a solid line. You can do the outline using 2 strands of floss or 1 strand of floss, and then you can switch to 2 or 3 strands of floss for filling. The more strands of floss you will use, the more volume it will add for your leaf. Right now I use 3 strands of floss because I'm lazy and I don't want to change the thread. But if you have time, if you can do it, you can switch to 1 or 2 strands of floss, and your leaf, in this case your leaf will look a little bit flat, but it creates also a really nice and sharp edge. And why I chose this color combination for my leaves? Because I want to show, like on the left side my leaf has light, and on the right side this leaf is gonna be darker. So it's gonna create an illusion like you have some shadow on your right side of the leaf, and this way your leaf will look like more realistic, even without using any long and short shading technique, just satin stitch. If you guys have some questions, ask me, I will try to reply right away. And yeah, for satin stitch, make sure that you have your fabric really tight in your hoop, so it's not gonna cause any puckering, and don't tighten your thread too much, so your satin stitch will look great. Okay, I reached to the point when I can start filling my leaf, and I will make my first stitch right here. Do you ever use thread conditioner or beeswax? I never used it because I use the quality threads, so they are not fluffy, they are not like behaving bad, you know. But I would like to try this product and see how it works for the threads. I heard that this is a good idea if you use silk embroidery threads because they can become fluffy on the ends and right in the middle of the thread. They can become a little bit fluffy and change the structure while you are stitching. So right now, as you can see, I tried to go up outside of the edge, really close to it. Right now I show you how you can do it from the back. So you just find the point when your edge is really close, but you shouldn't split it. Make sure that you are not splitting it, you just come up really close to the edge. If it's not comfortable, you can do it from the top. So you come up in the middle and then you can point your needle right into the place where you need, close to the edge, but not splitting it. This way it may be more comfortable for you because from the top you can see precisely where to put your needle down. For me, it's more comfortable if I do it from the top. You will see what you get in as a result, so you can change the way you are doing this. And for this leaf, I wanted also to show you how you can make a soft gradient from one color to another. This way I chose 3 colors. So right now I'm stitching with this color and I'm going to mix it with this one. It's slightly darker and this is how I will do it. So I make my next stitch a little bit further, so it will have a little gap between my next stitch and my previous stitch. So later I will put one more stitch from another color to fill this gap, and this way I will make a transition from one color to another. This can work for you if you don't have any variated threads, but you want to make a soft transition from one color to another. So I will make one more stitch really close to my previous stitch, and then I will make one more gap so I can place one more stitch from another color, and I will make one more stitch with a gap for it. Make sure that you follow the right direction for your stitches, so when you will be stitching with another color, they will look really nice together if they lay in the same direction, the direction that you need for this leaf. Okay, I will make one more stitch, and now I will finish this thread later. I just place it on the side. I parked my thread on the side, so I switch to another color, to this one, which is slightly darker. This method works if you have really close colors, like close shades of the colors. So I take 3 strands of floss. So I changed my thread color and I come up where I made my first gap, right here, and I make a stitch really close to my previous one. I see maybe I need to make one more stitch. For me it looks fine, and I'm filling the next gap that I make. See, the colors are really close, and we should get a really interesting effect. And for this gap I can make 2 stitches together. And for the next gap 2, I can make 2 stitches. So I made it in purpose because I want to get a soft transition from one color to another. And I really like the result of it, guys. What do you think? I already love it. And I'm finishing the sleeve completely with this color, and I'm moving down until this half of the leaf ends. And I'm finishing this half of the leaf, and you can see a little change in the color, and it's so soft. I really like this idea. So how do you like it, guys? Will you use this method for your next project? I really like the transition from the lighter color to the darker. It gives me like an effect of the watercolor, you know? When you draw, if you draw in watercolor, the color can flow from lighter to darker, and it's so soft, and I really like it. So I'm gonna start filling the next half of the leaf, and I'm gonna make a transition for 2 colors. This color I use it on the bottom. I will start with this color on the top, and you will see the difference from the left, and then I will mix this color with this one, and I will have more of this one color on the bottom. So we will have an effect like this leaf has the light on the left side and it has a shadow on the right side. Okay, I will start filling this half of the leaf, and remember we did an outline, so I will start from the bottom and I will outline this leaf. Yeah, so this is what you can do with your thread from the bottom. You can continue stitching and outline this half of the leaf, and as you move to the top you can continue stitching and fill in this leaf on the top. Remember to put your needle really close to the border. Remember that you are not going to split this outline stitch. You need it to be covered by your satin stitches. You just go down really close to it, but not splitting it. And I will start a transition a little bit earlier. So I will make a gap, and I will make one more gap. And one more, and I'm switching to another color, this one, if you don't remember, and I continue stitching, and I'm filling all the gaps that I left right here. Remember when you come up in the middle, right here, so you do it really careful. Just do it carefully without splitting your previous stitches from the left side. When you go into the same hole when you did your previous stitch, there is a risk that you will bring up some threads from the back side, and it will distort your satin stitches, and they will not look as nice as it was before. So just be careful and do it really carefully, so you're not splitting any of them. I'm gonna make one more stitch here, and I do it also really carefully, so I'm not covering those previous stitches from previous color by my future stitches using darker thread. So I'm not covering them by those threads, I'm just making stitches really close to them so they can still show up right here. One more color if you want, even darker than this one, so we can go with 3 colors. Now I'm filling this sleeve completely with this darker color. Guys, if you are new here and if you want to get this sampler and stitch it with me, you can do it by joining my stitching club on Patreon, or you can wait a little bit until this sampler appear on my Etsy shop as a separate PDF pattern. Just choose what you want. Right now you can get the access to this pattern right away. I'm writing instructions for it, but it's already available on my Patreon page, so you can download it from my Google Drive. I will give access to it once you join. And there is a pattern for transferring already available. You can transfer it and follow my video tutorials on YouTube, so you can catch up and stitch with me in a real time and support me as an artist on Patreon. This is the best way how you can do it. And together with this sampler you will get access to all of the rest samplers from my guidebook project. So it has 12 patterns like this for different stitches, and if you're a complete beginner, this is a really great way how you can start learning embroidery. You will start from the simple stitches and you will move to the more complicated techniques like this one. We started our next sampler pages for florals, and the next page is gonna be for flowers, different type of the flowers, and the next page after that one is gonna be long and short shading techniques. I will be showing everything I know about long and short shading, and you can practice and improve your skills. All the links are going to be in the video description below. If you want, you can add a central vein in the middle. I think I will do it for this leaf as well. I will need a darker shade of the thread, maybe this one. So I will use only one strand of loss to create a really sharp line in the middle, and it will cover all the imperfections that you have for this leaf. This is a great way to hide it, and this is a great way to add one more detail that can make your leaf look more realistic. And I'm using stamp stitch. It really looks much better than it was before. Let me know, guys, how do you see it? I see that it looks really great and it looks completed. For your leaves, if you stitch using just satin stitch like here and you want to make your outside borders really sharp, you can also add some outlining using split stitch, using darker shade of floss, or you can and you will hide all the imperfections that you have for the borders. This is also one more way how you can do it, how you can make your leaves look more perfect. If you want to add some shadow here, you can also add outlining only for this part of the leaf, carefully using only one strand of floss, and I would prefer to use split stitch for outside outline. I was using this method for many of my projects. Let me find some and I will show you an example how it looks. Oh, this one is perfect. So this is an example how you can use outline to add some borders, so to add some contrast. And for this project I used just the darker shade for the particular objects I was stitching. So each color is different, the outline is color is different here from here, and especially from here because this is a pink succulent. And here is an example how you can use a lighter shade for the outline. Like in real life they look lighter, much lighter, so I was using the outline using lighter color for this cactus, and it really looks great. You can find this pattern on my Patreon as well, or you can find it separately on my Etsy shop if you want to stitch it. I also have video tutorials for this project as well, and you can learn how you can use outline to make your objects look more realistic. If you like, you can use only black floss color, and it will make your embroidery look like cartoon, you know. So just choose what you like. I always want to make my embroideries look more realistic, so I don't like to make them like a cartoon, so I use just a darker shade of the floss, and this is the result. So thank you so much for joining, and stay tuned for the next videos. I'm really excited that my YouTube channel is growing, and this inspires me to make more videos like that. Here are a few more videos that you may like. Watch more of my videos, leave your comments, leave your likes. See you in the next one. Bye guys!